Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Be with this court and give us the wisdom and the courage to make the best decisions that affect all of our citizens in this great county. And Lord, we lift up those in eastern Kentucky that are suffering due to the devastations of the floods. Be with them and all the rescuers and all those working to provide aid and relief in that effort. And Father, we're also mindful of those in western Kentucky that are still recovering and working to get back on their feet from the devastating tornadoes in December. Again, be with this court, the citizens of this great county, and it's in your precious Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, if everybody will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is approve the prior meeting minutes. We have a motion to approve the minutes. Second. Magistrate Savage and seconded by Magistrate Short. Any changes, comments, questions?
Judge, quite honestly, since we had some difficulty regarding getting the information, it's appropriate under parliamentary procedure that we do one of two things: take time to read them, or we can legally suspend the approval until our next meeting.
I read them.
I would prefer you take time to read them.
Thank you.
We're going to let them read the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Those that feel they need to do that.
Thank you, Judge.
Y'all let me know when you
I'm ready.
You ready? Tom, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Are there any changes, changes to the minutes? Hearing none, then all those in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Next, we have to pay some bills, and Miss Mariah, who is taking the minutes from her desk in her office today. So Mariah, if you go ahead, please.
Okay. I did pass out, we added the sheriff's fuel yesterday to the bill list. And the bills came out to a total of $418,734.35. Standing orders that we've already paid out was $442,264.52.
Move we pay the bills as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Magistrate Gay to approve the bills as presented and seconded by Magistrate Sammons. Is there any questions or comments?
The only thing I'm going to throw in here is that there's a payment for $6,000 for fireworks, and I don't think the public knows that the city and the county actually share that.
It's not promoted very well. Mayor, I know that the city provides a good portion, and we do too, and I don't know if it's important or not, but nobody gets any credit for supplying that resource to allow the folks in this area to celebrate the 4th of July.
We normally split the cost with the city, don't we, Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I don't think a lot of people know that that is a joint effort.
Yeah.
I don't think so either. I think most people think it's just the city.
No.
That's why I thought I would throw it out there that,
How can we correct that?
well, I mean, just putting it out there publicly that, that the fireworks for 4th of July is a split and joint venture, so.
Yeah.
Our website would be one way to sort
Okay.
of do it.
Okay.
And put in there that it's jointly done.
And we can do that.
I let the area, and people in the area, y'all let them know who pays for the fireworks, city and county. So most of them know that where the money's coming from.
Who still does the fireworks and
Fire department.
Fire department.
No, no longer.
No longer?
No, that's professionally contracted out.
Well, what's called Holman used to do that all the time for him.
Well, that's a different set. He does it. I don't think he does these here. Oh, Ernie does those that back there at his place.
Yeah, I know, they used to do ours years ago, remember that, Mike?
No, sir, I'm not quite your age, so
So moving right along,
Oh, yeah, well,
we'll
you can
correct
start
that
again.
as being a joint venture that the county and city
Well, I know
provide.
Yeah.
Junction pays for their own fireworks. The city, y'all don't have to do that, do you?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because I think Junction pays for their fireworks. Junction.
She's aware, but he doesn't know what's going on.
Which is always a nice little 4th of July celebration down in
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah. All right, that's all I had.
All right, okey-doke. All right, so, Mariah, go ahead, please.
She already did. We just need to vote on
You
it.
just need to
Oh,
vote,
okay,
yeah.
all right. I'm glad we got sidetracked about who does what with fireworks. Is there any other questions about fireworks, or about the
Bills.
The bills? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mariah.
Thanks.
Budget transfers. Darlene?
That's me. We have a total of $5,531 to move around here as budget transfers.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second?
Motion made by Magistrate Cohen, seconded by Magistrate Gay to approve the budget transfers as presented. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. Cash transfers.
Cash transfers, I need to move a total of $120,206.03.
Yeah, are y'all had a chance to look at that and see where it's coming from and to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the cash transfers.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Kaywood to approve the cash transfers as presented. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. It's now my turn on the consent calendar, and I went up last Wednesday to Eastern Kentucky, to Breathitt County, and I visited with Judge Jeff Noble up there, and he's in his first term. And yesterday he got to meet President Joe Biden on a walk through the area. I want to try to give you a look about a little over a 5-minute brief with some pictures. And Bill, if you want to throw some up on the screen, this is a picture of a 2022 black Silverado truck that's lodged in the mud, and that mud is almost 4 feet thick. And next slide. This is a picture. Now, if you could blow it up, it's kind of hard to see, but this is a home that's bent in half, and half of it is up the hillside. And that home, the judge told me that the gentleman woke up in the middle of the night when it was knee deep in the house, went up the hill, tied a rope around a tree, went back into the house when it was almost chest deep, and got his family out of the house by pulling them up the rope up the hill to get out of the ravaging flood waters. It was rising that quick. Next slide. This shows a couple of buildings that were just tossed around. These were from almost a mile and a half down the road to the north toward Campton. Next slide. You see the foundation where this mobile home, manufactured house was, and it just took it up off its foundation and set it over there. The Highway 15 is where I'm sitting on, and you see a lot of that throughout Breathitt County and Perry County and Letcher County. Next slide. This dirt is the beginning of the dirt pile, and that's all this is mud, dirt, and it's dried up right now. But this came off the highways. This was scraped off by DOT, road graders and front end loaders, and scooped up and hauled off. And this is just part of the pile of dirt. It rained. The rain hit that, I think it was Thursday night, and that following Sunday, it rinsed a lot of the roads off, which you can't even tell that there was any mud there at all, because they had spent 2 days scraping all this off after the waters receded. That's just off the highways. That's from nowhere else. The next slide. You see this trailer, this mobile home that was flipping down this side of the hill. What's important about this is it was stopped by that building that's laying up against. That wouldn't go any further. But the creek on this, we're sitting on 15, right off 15. The creek is down the hill about 35 feet to my right as you're looking at that picture. And the water came up 42 feet, went across 15, and flooded everything to the left up the hill, but in about 8 foot of water. And it happened real quick.
Judge, on one of the television stations out of Lexington, the man who owned that property was standing by his garden, and really a touching story. He raises that garden every year and gives everything away to the folks who surround him in the area. Just punctuates one more thing of the generosity of the folks who actually live there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's where the president was yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah,
Right
he's
there.
standing right there by that trailer.
Okay. Next slide. This is a picture of the guy whose house is sitting on his foundation and looks fairly unaffected, but it had 6 feet of water in it, and so he can't live in the house with no electricity, and it was 90 degrees that day. So he's got his dome tent and his cases of water there, and he's living out of his driveway, which is you see a lot of up there. What amazed me, and I didn't get any pictures of it, there's some houses along the creek that look absolutely like nothing's ever touched them. They got hanging baskets on the front porch, rocking chairs on the front porch, and they're totally empty because water got up 5 or 6 feet in them. So they'll have to go in and gut everything down to the the beams in there, to the 2x4s. The next slide. This is very typical of Eastern Kentucky, and I do not know how this is ever going to get cleaned up. I know it will. It'll be years. But these are debris that is washed up out of the creek down to the right. And it's kind of hard to see, but there are parts of mobile homes and trailers, aluminum sheets, windows. The frames on the bottom of a mobile home are steel beams. There's two of them wrapped around some trees in some of these photos that the force of the water just took and wrapped around the trees. And that goes on for miles. I went from Jackson down toward Hazard in Perry County, and this creek is the part of the Caney Creek, upper and lower Caney Creek, and that day I was there on Wednesday. The National Guard is still airlifting supplies to parts of the county because people can't get out. Next slide. That's a picture of me on the right, offloading some clothes and some other things. These people were from, I think, Louisville, and they were bringing stuff in, and that's Judge Jeff Noble on the left. And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff there that people are getting. The one thing that I realized that they didn't have enough of while we were there, and the word went out to get more of, was squeegees, because they were getting in there with hoses and just trying to wash down everything they can do, but they need the squeegees to help get the mud silk out and the water and everything off the floors. But I don't know the destruction of the home count, but just to let everybody know, is there, next slide? This is a little, short video. That bus, we're in Breathitt County, and in the little community of Ned, but that bus you see down there in the creek is a Perry County school bus, which is at least 15 miles to the south. It's just hard to believe. Okay, is there any more, Bill? No, that's it. The water was, it rained, I think it was like somewhere between 10 and 12 inches in a 10-hour period, and it just came up overnight. It happened in the night. Judge Noble showed me where he lived. He had about a 35-foot flat front yard that went steep down an embankment to the creek. And Friday night he was awakened in his bedroom with tail lights out in his front yard. And he looked, and there was the tail lights of a pickup truck bobbing up and down in the river that had gotten up to his yard height, 35 feet from the base of it. And that truck was bobbing up and down. He went out to try and secure it with a rope, and he didn't get there in time. So when he got outside after he got dressed, the truck had already washed away, and it did have people in it, and they still have not found it. While we were there, they found a body under one of the creeks, under one of the bridges there that had been there for about 4 days. Duane, Campbell, and two road crews went up last Friday, and they put a lot of rock down. They did a lot of road clearing. They're going back up, I think, this next Friday to do some more road clearing. Our emergency management director, Brian Caldwell, has been up there and is helping Chris Fugit, their emergency management director, direct the recovery issues. And they were in a rescue mode last week. So it was estimated by everybody that's lived there, and there's some very senior people that I got to meet that have been around 80, 90 years, have never seen water touch any aspect of the county that it touched last week or a week or two ago. And you've heard the term 100-year flood. This is probably a 500-year flood. The devastation is not, you can't even begin to see it on TV. It just doesn't do it justice. If you looked in some of those pictures along the stream, the mud silt up in the trees as you're going down, say this is Highway 15 going to Hazard, the mud silt changed the coloration of the trees and the creeks 8 to 10 feet above the road level. So
Our sheriff, we've got several sheriff's deputies down there too.
well, they are in Perry County,
Yep.
helping in Hazard, and Shannon of our office went down and took a lot of supplies and helped a lot of people down in Letcher County. And so Boyle County's reaching out, and we're doing what we can to help, and we will continue. You know, they're getting stuff. They're getting stuff.
Okay.
And I want to say this, because there was a big deal made about the football program down there. Coach Haddix went down the day I went down, and he had like 10 football players with rental permission that went down and helped. Those young men showed a lot of respect for everybody down there. And they were offloading 3 trailers load of supplies taken down and helping distribute those to area folks that needed them. And that's a good message for those young people to be involved with and sending. And, it's not just about the football. But the reason they wanted to do that and share that with the school and the community down there was because they wanted to share the aspect of giving those young players in Breathitt County, their Bobcats, hope that someday it can be normal again. And there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. That's all I need to say about that. Anybody have any questions?
Judge, are we still collecting supplies?
Yes, sir. And right here, we can bring them in. This room was filled up and a lot of it's been taken down, which is where it needs to be.
Just want to be sure the folks listening.
Please bring the stuff back.
Bring it back.
Let's fill this courthouse up, keep filling it up, because this is not going away anytime soon. The devastation has been more significantly impact that population down there than, don't want to compare it to tornadoes, but it is significantly as equal in devastation as the tornadoes in West Kentucky.
Judge, what do they need down there? I mean, I can only send so many winter coats. What do they need?
Well,
Gift cards.
they need gift cards. Walmart on top of the hill in Jackson, in Breathitt County, is open. There is some electricity. They still don't have much running water, but they do have some electricity. Cell service is coming back up. They need cleaning supplies, rubber boots, because when they wash this mud out, it's just mud everywhere. And they need squeegees, cleaning supplies.
Angie or Duane might be able to address this because it was on the news this morning. Clorox won't kill the fungus and the mold that's coming, and there are special things that they're going to need that I guess might be available at box stores and hardware stores here. Are you familiar with the compound that can clean the mold and kill the mold?
The only thing basic that kills mold is Clorox.
But they said on the news this morning that will not kill the black mold.
I've always heard they kill black.
I did too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Judge, people what we
Can't
ought to
imagine
do
that.
jointly city and the county is specify what's needed. Again, everybody's dumping clothes
Well,
everywhere.
being from there, I'm gonna tell you water, water, water.
Yeah.
And the gift cards are a good thing because people need to be able to buy stuff, but now the water is a
The bottled water,
huge
their water
thing.
system's gonna be out for a long
It's
time.
gone.
They need bottled water.
It's gone.
And there's tractor trailer loads coming in, but they use it that
And a
fast.
lot of personal items.
Hygiene.
You know, hygiene, women, hygiene, men.
I think we ought to specify, let's stop the clothes, let's get people to
Let's-
spend the money on the
Yeah,
stuff they really can use today.
They said they cannot warehouse clothing, and then the administration of clothing, when it comes in all sizes and male, female, and everything else, they're discouraging clothing right now.
That's why gift cards is actually a very, very good idea.
And the difference between this and Mayfield is Mayfield was above ground. Water lines are shot. Gas lines are shot. Sewer lines are shot.
Shot.
I mean, this is not going to be a repair. This is a rebuild. And it's going to be years in the making.
I don't know, I've not heard the total number of homes devastated by the flood in Breathitt alone, but it's now affected 12 counties in that general area. But if I had to guess off what I've seen in Lost Creek and different areas of Breathitt County, it's probably impacted at least, I'd be conservative in saying 600, 700 homes minimum in a community that, in a county that has 13,000 people. Because when you, and as people have been down there and see it, and Angie knows this, the flat land is where people can build most readily, and it's along the creeks. Because everything else is got slope to it.
And then in today's Lexington paper, the average income of folks in that area is $15,000. compare that to the average income in Kentucky of 33, how in the world they're gonna rebuild?
They won't. They won't.
I mean, it's just,
And a lot of them
A
don't
lot of
have,
them won't.
don't have insurance because they
And
can't
your
afford it.
wastewater systems are destroyed, you know, and it was a feat in itself just to get a lot of that funded, and now it's, you know, it's just, I don't know.
They said the most you can get from FEMA is $37,000. That's not enough to build those houses back there.
Oh,
no.
no, it's not. But they still need our help.
Yeah.
And I would reach out to the mayors in those cities, Mike, and same like I did with Judge Noble and going down. But if you want to go down with me one day next week or something and just see the devastation for yourself and reach out to the mayors in Jackson and other places, we can go on down to Hazard and talk to them down there. But that's how you know what they need.
Right.
And what their needs this week are going to be different than their needs next week. And so,
And how, if Walmart's open, how long are those supplies gonna last?
I don't know that I can answer that.
But they're gonna roll them over very quickly. So
Oh, yeah.
eventually, there could be times they don't have anything to help the people.
Well, I told the judge, John, that when he first talked about going down there, I said, you know, the sad part is everybody's helping, everybody's in there, and that's wonderful. But about 3 or 4 weeks from now
Right.
is when they're really, really, really going to need help. And
When the
the
cameras
worst
aren't
thing
there.
I've heard is, why don't they move out of there?
And go where?
Thank you. Where are they going? What money are they got to go anywhere?
Right, yeah.
You know, you're talking an area that, just like you said, the income, insurance, no, they don't have insurance. Ask them what they charge us for insurance down in eastern Kentucky. My mother has a perfect clean driving record and pays almost $1,500 a year for just coverage on her vehicle. And that's cheap.
And the Ranger coming again today and flip watch tonight.
So,
The fellow with the tent, he may be there a long time.
He could very well.
so there's a big lifestyle and cost difference between the areas.
Well, you got people who live there all their life, they're not gonna move out.
No, and the only thing about them, you know, we are resilient. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we can handle and take care of our own, but now there's a whole lot that I'm afraid is not going to ever be the same for.
They are survivalists. And I'm going to say that in the nth degree. This gentleman was coming back from a road trip last week when it was raining, and this is unbelievable. His wife was in Jackson, and he was coming up from Knoxville area, and he talked to her on the phone before they lost cellular communication, and she said the water is about knee deep in our house, and it appears to be receding wherever they were. And so he was on the phone to her and got cut off during the conversation. He couldn't get there because the roads were flooded. So in the middle of the night with it raining, he got out of his vehicle and went over the mountains, over the knobs, and walked in 8 miles to get to his house to check on his wife. That's resilience.
I was planning on going down this week, so if you guys have stuff that needs to go down, I'm happy to bring it.
Bring, please, if you're out watching on YouTube, bring stuff into the courthouse and you need it. But if you want to, the gift cards, we will collect them in the judge's office, and we will ensure that they get to those who need it the most down there by directly handing it off to the mayors and the judges in those areas for distribution.
Just like Magistrate Salmons, Angie, and others are from, and Shannon are from eastern Kentucky. When I went and got the water from Kroger, the assistant manager told me, this is how universal the impact is. She told me that one of their employees is a cousin to the family that lost the 4 children. Right here in Danville, she's a cousin to those folks that lost 4 children.
Well, like the judge said, there's all those homes are washed away. There's being, like you said, Angie and I are from that area more or less. place to put a home. I mean, except on the bottom land, we call it. And then it's, like the judge said, that's 500-year flood. That's just amazing that we'd have that much rain.
People who are on this earth right now have never seen anything like it. Never seen anything like
floods
it.
at home, Big Sandy River get up and so on, but you get some old line homes, get in the city of Paintsville, but nothing like this.
Well, General, thank you again for your leadership and for heading down there. I know you had a long, hard week last week and several staff is out, so I appreciate you making the sacrifice and spending some long hours down there.
The whole thing is about, and I talked with Todd Ruckle of the Judges Association, and he has the idea, which I agree with 100%. There is KRS statute that allows judges who are not impacted by disaster to go in and with approval over from X hour to X hour of a day to sit in with complete legal authority to allow that impacted judge to go home and get some sleep, because they can't run 24/7 for weeks on end. They can't do it, and things need to transpire. And there is mechanisms in our KRS statutes to allow that to happen. So that'd be something in the future I may talk to the court about, and going down and helping spell rest periods for 8-hour period or something to allow the judge to recoup. But we can talk about that later. But anyway, I hope if you have a reason to be there, like you're gonna take stuff down, and Mike, you and I can go down, and we got people that can go down and help. They need it. They've done a lot, but there's just so much more to do. There's so much more to do.
And more rain coming.
And more rain coming. If we get any significant rainfall, I don't know what they'll do. I don't know what they do, because all those coming off that, it's just like a big funnel right down, and just all collects in the bottom and just fills up that. All right, it's enough of that. Thank you all for indulging me, and I tell you what, if you are inclined, those people down there can sure use your prayers, in addition to your support in other ways, but they can sure use your prayers, because they're facing something. You realize that less than 15 months ago there was another flood there that just devastated that area, but not nearly to the degree that this one did. So they just now came out of recovery and had some rebuilding done, and then this hit. Next we have Steve Griffin. Steve?
Make a motion, we approve.
Okay, just have one other thing. I have an employee out of animal control has indicated that he no longer wishes to remain employed, and I'd like to have your approval of separating from employment effective today.
So,
Second.
Motion to take a personal action against an employee that wishes to separate from the county was made by, motion was made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Cullen. Is there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
Thank you,
Motion
Judge.
carried. Thank you. All right, next we have Mike Rogers, EMS.
Good morning, Judge.
Morning.
We have a part-time consideration for part-time employee Abigail Thomas that applied for EMT position. She's from our EMT class, so I should get her started.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. Okay, motion to approve Abby Thomas, been made by Magistrate Cullen, seconded by Magistrate Ellis.
She's also part of our volunteer fire department, so.
Okay, good deal. And this is one of our homegrown, so to speak,
Correct.
Out of our training class.
Yeah.
So that's what we want. That's what we want.
That was the goal.
Mike, how many do you have in class?
We have 17.
17? And this is just EMT?
Yep.
Nothing to do with paramedic?
No, sir.
Which we're working on with BCTC.
you know, how do they feel about cooperating with us on that to start with?
Oh, they're excited.
Yeah.
They're excited.
Y'all doing okay? Everyone all right?
Judge, did you
It's been busy,
get the
for sure.
information on, that day you stepped out during the court meeting, you got another engagement? The gentleman here, he wants to set up an endowment of at least $1 million that pays the tuition for kids to come without costing them anything.
Dr. Acapulco.
Pardon?
Dr. Acapulco.
Dr. Acapulco,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be meeting with him later this week. I was aware of, subsequently after his request, as many of you had told me. And so I think that, you know, we need to put on the agenda as to how we want to address that and,
Yeah,
you know, going forward.
Has he approached you guys, Mike?
Not since the meeting.
No, he meant Paris. Mayor.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry. Good looking at
He's looking to you.
that.
He's looking to you.
Sorry.
Stay,
Sorry.
stay on the agenda.
Mary, do
All right.
you have any feel among your folks around you down there whether they would do something like that? You have a feel? Would you want to guess?
I'll guess yes. I will tell you that I had a conversation with the president of the Kentucky Community Technical College System, and basically said, you've got a story to tell, but you gotta learn how to tell it. You got a story to tell, but you're not telling it. You've got to create some kind of, I don't have to tell this man, but you've got to create some kind of presentation that is a presentation you can make here and City Commission and Lexington and Louisville, wherever, because the statistics are overwhelming. They're just overwhelming. And there's no reason that, that as individuals and collective governments, we shouldn't be all in on this.
They have a new director that hopefully is coming up with some good ideas. Comes from a center background, I believe, and I think one of the biggest problems that they face that we've talked about that maybe the city and county can work on is transportation out there. If we could get our bus system to kind of make that a stop, that would be huge, because most people that would go there probably have problems with transportation. But I would say that we need to get the new director in here and see his vision before we start donating any money.
Out of the tragedy of Eastern Kentucky, think what we need in terms of trades. Just for Eastern Kentucky. It's only been about 3 years ago that over in Ashland, Kentucky, they were advertising for 30 welders that they couldn't find. And they were paying them top dollar, $28 an hour. And that was 3 years ago when there wasn't the kind of need that we have for all the trades. We really need to emphasize with our school systems here, moving into the idea that the trades can give you a great career.
I agree with you 100%.
Vote on yours.
Tom. But I want to move on to the vote.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we vote?
No.
Okay.
I'm on this one, guys. I'm on this one. We
Yeah.
haven't voted yet.
Well, you,
All right.
you don't have your helper here.
Many of them.
Do this.
All right.
He's
We have
Him and Darlene
we have a
on the
motion to approve the part-time hire at EMS. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. And motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. All right, Duane, you're up.
We have received from the state our flex agreement with the resolution. So today, coming and asking your permission or your approval of the resolution, which will give the judge authority to sign the agreement.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Magistrate Cohen. I think the second came from over here. Was that Magistrate Gay? Second, and to approve the Flex Fund Agreement Resolution to accompany. Any discussion about that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
And so just to remind you, we send that back to Frankfurt, and then we have to await the Secretary's signature to that agreement. And then once we receive that signed document back, then we can proceed with the work.
What I'd
You
like to-
mentioned that it could happen this fall, that we lay some pavement.
What I'd like
For
to do is
this, yes.
send this around, everybody sign their names on their I that they voted.
And then the emergency, we're still waiting, we're still waiting to see if they approve anything of that. Or discretionary, sorry.
All right. Okay.
We did make a trip last Friday to Breathitt County, to Jackson County, and we were able to repair one bridge for them. We've learned a valuable lesson. If we go back, we will take some good maps with us so that we can find these roads. We did have some, we spent a lot of time being lost, but that's part of it. But we know where to go to if we go back. We typically are looking maybe go back Friday, but they have hired a new road foreman, and I've been in contact with him, and he's out of town for the next couple of days trying to buy some equipment. All of their equipment was flooded. So anyway, he was appreciative of the call, and I'm going to call him Thursday evening and see, and we may not go Friday, we may end up going the following week. And as you said, there's going to be things for weeks to come probably anyway, so
Yeah.
we'll kind of plan that as we go along. But anyway, it was a long day, but it was fine, and our equipment did fine. We traveled down there and back, and we can do it again. We know the lay of the land a little better now, so we can be a little more beneficial next time around. So.
Sounds good. Thank you, Duane. Thank you for doing that too.
Judge, if I may mention, we had an issue in my district, and Duane took care of it very quickly, and I got a wonderful letter from this individual. And there are people who write letters and thank the government for something, so just wanted everybody to know.
All right, good, good. By the way, speaking of your district, in my recent discussions with Norfolk Southern, I asked a question that you posed to me about painting the trestle over Maple Avenue. Okay? They don't do that, but they won't stand in the way of self-help local people doing it with, make sure that it is done in a very tasteful manner.
I'll see what I'm doing this weekend with the ladder and everything.
Let me know if you need help. I can hold the ladder.
What I would like to do, John, and all.
That's more receptive than what, the last time I checked on it. It was like, no, we can't because of the lead that they use to build those and paint those.
The attorney had no problem with that. I think they would like to know what's going to be painted on there.
Yeah, does it say welcome to Boyle County, welcome to whatever?
Why not? Something like that is
Yeah.
what I thought that would look very nice up there. Anything is better than what's up there now. So I appreciate you checking on it.
So, I would like for this group, this court, to help that along, is to, collectively decide what we want to try and do to put up there. It's actually in the city limits, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is
They got
in the
enough on
city
their
limits.
plates.
And
But
it's-
the city
it's a-
has enough on their plates.
It's a wonderful coming into town neighborhood and street and everything. It's a good moment for them when visitors come. And let me tell you, there was visitors from everywhere this past weekend because of the 127 yards.
So however we want to handle that, but, once we come up with a concept or an idea, if I can float it by my contacts in Norfolk Southern, I think it will be received.
Duane, you
I think we
might,
need
you might
to-
think about how you go about it. I have no idea.
I think we ought to approach our arts community and see if they have any suggestions or recommendations. We have plenty of very talented art people in this
I
community.
looked at that structure, and those vertical beams on there are pretty tight, so you're not gonna get real big, I don't know, it'd be tough. But anyway, just thought I'd mention it
I
to you when
appreciate
you
it.
talk about your
Thank you.
district. Yes, sir.
I typically wouldn't jump in, but I'm on the tourism board. I want to run that through that group too, because I think welcome to Danville, Boyle County would be a nice look, and so there might be some ideas there.
Okay.
Working
That'd be
with our
great.
community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Angie?
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, I just want to give everybody the flyer. Our hazardous household waste
Yeah.
event's coming up the last Saturday of the month on the 27th. And we're going to do the Recycling Awareness Week again. It was pretty successful last year. We had about
Very
100
successful.
people show up, and then our HHW got blowed out of the water. So, you know, we were 11 tons of paint, and it was just
I know it.
wonderful last year. So I'm hoping to do a repeat. So, Mayor, get your batteries out there and all that other good stuff.
I got them.
Any questions on that?
Yes, Phil and I would like to know what you're serving in refreshments, because we were there last year.
We will have hot dogs, hamburgers, and Pepsi.
Sounds like last year, doesn't it, Phil?
Yep, same thing. But now if you come out during the awareness week, me and Geneva will have little treats there every day for people to come out. So you'll just have to,
That's what he likes. He likes them treats.
yeah, hey, you like them treats, don't you?
He's moving his coffee club out there for those.
That's what he's gonna bring. He's gonna say, come on out here, let everybody get some free food.
John and I would like to invite the other magistrates out to join us.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Get your hazardous household waste stuff out. Make your wives happy and clean that stuff out of the garage.
I just dig a hole in that yard and put it in.
Oh, that's a good thing.
We're taking tires at the same time.
No.
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 No tire,
No.
no,
Just
don't even
paint.
start that,
Paint.
troublemaker.
Painted tires.
Painted tires, there you go.
No tires.
Uh,
All right. We got litter abatement grant funding, the county requests an agreement. Just basically need approval for the judge to sign this and turn it in.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the litter abatement program grant funding made by Magistrate Gay, seconded by Magistrate Simmons. Is there any questions or issues or discussions on this motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Before she gets away, I'd just like to make a comment that Ronnie Short, Magistrate Short and I are on her committee, and I'd just like for the residents of Boyle County to know what a jewel we got in Angie.
Thank you.
Absolutely, I agree. She
100%.
does an
Yeah,
excellent job.
She does a wonderful job 100% of the
To
time.
some people. To most. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Angie.
Next, Dr. Roush is going to, he's presented before the Danville City Commission, and he's going to present to the court those who have not had the opportunity to sit in on EDA meetings in the past. He's going to present to us an EDA, Economic Development Authority update. Thank you, Dr. Roush.
Thank you for having me. I want to begin by expressing my thanks to several of you in this room who have participated in our work. And I want to express my thanks to a number of folks not in the room, but who also have worked dutifully and carefully in behalf of our county, our city, and our region. If I might, let me call off some items that might be helpful to you as we go forward. And I should mention that our task force has a 4 o'clock meeting set for tomorrow, August 10th, where I hope and believe we can move ever closer to completing our work. Indeed, I've called off my expectation that we would work to finish by not later than September 1. In brief, let me attempt to identify what's been accomplished and what remains as I see it. Let's begin with some victories. I want to say a word about success and failure. I'm of the opinion that we, and that would include all of us called to leadership in Danville, Boyle County, have allowed ourselves to conclude that we have been failing in the area of economic development. In fact, Danville and Boyle County have prospered over the last 20 plus years, though I am the first among us to acknowledge that we should and can do better. Indeed, the objective of our current work might be thought of as a natural progression, brought about in large part because the competition has changed, gotten more intense, nimble, and creative. So must we. Bottom line, Danville, Boyle County needs to make appropriate, albeit modest changes that will equip our region to be better, stronger, and faster, as I am known to say. Moreover, I know that any number of our city, county, region leaders are of the opinion that this entire process has taken longer than it should. I agree. Though I'm quick to add that we did not begin our work in earnest until mid-August of 21. And at that time, if asked, I would have said we might be expected to finish our work by mid-April. Finding common ground for this kind of effort is always difficult, tedious even. So I'm wishing we were done, but not altogether surprised that we are not. But we are close. Our EDA task force, meeting again tomorrow, has in hand the action items it has completed and stands ready, I believe, to finish its work not later than September 1. I stand prepared to talk in detail about some of those actions taken, those that remain, but will do so broad brush by invitation. Some actions and caution as we move forward. We need to share this information with the larger community. For a start, we plan to submit a carefully crafted article for a city, county newsletter, a similar report shared with the local Rotary, Kiwanis clubs, the Chamber of Commerce, and the list goes on. And we should plan to share more rather than less, inviting these people and organizations to share their viewpoints and suggestions. 2, we should prepare ourselves for criticism associated with how long this all took and our having missed opportunities, to include being late in this hiring process. But we need to set aside such criticism and focus on becoming better, stronger, faster, all the while expressing our thanks to what's been accomplished by the Industrial Foundation, the EDP, the EDA, the city, the county, and its partners, as well as what will be accomplished with the new corporation. And to keep us moving forward is my plan to pull together a small team of people representing 2 of the groups, if not more, to hammer out some of the few details that remain. The issue that remains problematic for some who care about this work is whether the newly formed Danville-Boyle County Development Corporation should have 7 or 9 members. I think we're close to getting this issue behind us, and I think it's likely to end up a group of 7 to start. Finally, and arguably most important, I do hope you can find your way to being patient with the process for a touch longer. We are close at this point, and I would hope that you would not move ahead in hiring a person to represent and do economic development in behalf of the county. It's crucial, as our task force discovered, that we have a unified effort going forward. Now let me stop and invite your questions.
In questions, would you allow comments?
Sure. It's your meeting. I'm just a visitor.
And we're glad to have you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all your work and your patience. We've been at this. We've been having meetings, yes, but they've been weekly meetings. Some people think every meeting is a monthly issue. You've been having them weekly, so everybody's been hard at it. Some of the confusion to me is what is successful. As you pointed out, we've had successes, but we've really not known how to measure those successes. In other words, there's not been a scoreboard that's been asked for by the court and those who represent the court. We never got an answer, and this goes back several years. This has created some heartache, I don't mind telling you. But let's look at the numbers that I came up with from just doing a little background work. That doesn't tell me that we've been totally successful. And let me share those with you. I've shared this with the court, and actually through the years, I don't mind telling you, I've shared this with certain numbers with leadership and gotten nowhere. And finally I quit because I was getting nowhere. This is over years right now. From the Central Kentucky Market Report, medium household income, we ranked 13th out of 17 counties, Central Kentucky counties. That's not a victory to me. I think we can, as you so rightly pointed out, we can do better. When are we going to start? And does the structure that we've been under still work? In my opinion, the structure needs to be changed. I don't think you do it the way you did it 15 years ago. I think that game has been changed. And COVID has probably speeded that process up. But yet, I have people who have been keeping up with us saying, you're back to the old ways. That's their perception. I'm saying to you, we gotta come up with a new structure and a new plan if we're gonna achieve future successes, because 13 doesn't get it in my book. Now, to counter that, or to add to that, I looked at Bluegrass ad information on the same thing, medium household income. This is what people sit around the table and talk about. Where they're going to buy a small car, a big car. Everything they purchase up and down Main Street. Where they're going to go. The bills, in particular today with inflation, their income is not keeping up. We have to work on that, in my opinion. If we're going to have young people to move here to raise a family, and that's a goal of all of us, I think. Anyway, Bluegrass ad, we moved up. We got to number 11. And those numbers, nowhere are we in the top 10 in Central Kentucky. A study by Bluegrass Workforce Development Board showed that our latest unemployment rates in the 17 county area, we ranked 15. That doesn't get it in my book either. But we had a victory here, in my opinion. Visitor spending by county in 19. This came from the estimated total visitor spending in millions of dollars on lodging, food, beverages, retail, recreation, and transportation. It was information provided by our Kentucky tourism folks. Long and short is, if this is the structure that we've had for the last 15 years, these are the results, and it's the only scoreboard I could find. Because they didn't, wonderful people, wonderful volunteers, great people, and this is, I say this with the greatest respect. We ain't getting it, in my opinion. That's the short phrase, not real pretty.
Right.
We can do, as you said, we can do better. I totally agree. But we gotta have the right structure to do it. I think it's all based on structure and how we go about our approach. It's not the same game plan.
Agreed.
I don't know that that was ever recognized. I've been saying it for several years. Got nowhere with it. And I don't know why. Great people, wonderful people, strong community people who do it for the right reason. Well, when are we going to truly wake up and understand that the structure, in my opinion, is the key, as well as the person who's brought in to tell our story? I had people from everywhere this weekend. Maine, Texas, all through the South. Just, you can't believe the people in a yard sale who stop by to look at some of the crap that you have. But they love it. They love it. And many compliment how nice the people are here and what a beautiful area it is. Many of them do. But many of them come from areas that I wouldn't go to. I'll be very honest with you. You meet the most wonderful people at yard sales.
Well, I just want to...
And so we got a long way to go, and we got some of this hitting heads. So I'm going to make the motion that the city government and county government come together for a meeting to try to talk about these things and try to work this out so that we can step forward together going forward, if that's at all possible. But we got a long way to go. So, Judge, I would put that in the form of the motion that are coming together of the two governments as soon as we possibly can. This was mentioned last night. This is not my original thought. I will give credit where credit is due, as Mayor Parrish talked about it last night. The response was not real good, I believe, it's my opinion, just my opinion. I hope we can make that move, because if we don't talk, I think we're really hurting ourselves in doing what you had, Dr. Roush has tried to do in his work every week, which is very much appreciated. I will shut up.
I would just add that I think that it sounds like we're getting, and I've said this before, we are real close.
Right.
And there's a lot of work that's been done to redo this structure. So I think one of the things that I want us to stop doing is playing backwards. We've got to start playing forward more. And yes, we've evaluated it clearly, and I think this committee that's been working on this has evaluated clearly our mistakes. I think the EDP has been doing a lot of self-reflection and inspection, and so it's time to stop playing backwards. We are to the point where the new structure is being formulated and put together. Now it's just a matter of getting this thing across the finish line, and I would be interested to know if there are any other sticking points other than the 7-9 issue.
Well, some of you in the room have been involved in this conversation as well, and I would say not really. I mean, you know, I would reverse it a little bit, John, in terms of this. We got to get the structure right, but most of this kind of work is led by somebody who sort of makes it happen, and that. So I think getting a new director of the corporation, whatever his or her title might be, that's going to be a pivotal hire. And that man or woman will need to be supervised. And in what we put together, there's a 3-member county, the city, and then I think it's the
chairman of the corporation.
Chairman of the corporation would have a responsibility for helping to supervise and provide guidance for that new person and his or her team that they put in place. You know, so we are close, Jenny. And my hope is we can get this thing rolled out, put to bed this issue of 7 or 9. I think we're close on that, and move out, which would mean pulling together the hiring of a person that would have responsibility.
How many times has the EDA, there's EMS, EDB, how many times has the EDA voted on 7 since you guys have? I have 4 times. But
Yeah, it's been 4.
It's been
okay.
4 times, and that's the sticking point, is that, you know, someone keeps backdooring this whole thing, and honestly, I don't have a problem with the county going on its own, because, you know, we're behind. We're behind.
No, I would back up there though,
You can back up all you want, but I'm talking. So, because here's some of the problems. The group that's kind of stalling this whole effort is not strong enough to say what wasn't working. What wasn't working were a lot of the people that were in charge that let this whole debacle, this train wreck, happen. And so how can we move forward? We have to look backwards, because the people that caused this problem are the ones that are trying to move it forward. And so, yeah, we have to keep looking backwards if you're going to have the same people, the same players doing the same stuff. You know, we're going from a 17-person board, which is ridiculous, that they want 9. And it's all about control, and it's ridiculous. And
no, that's not true, Jason. The county and the city would still have, if you will, the responsibility and the capacity to turn a vote, whether it's 7 or 9.
That's if you can count on the city and the county getting along enough to actually, you know, be the majority. You know, we don't work so well together. You know, and
well, that's the problem.
And we had you know, a strong push from some people in the city that were like, oh, we got to get the numbers for 7, and then now it's you know, now the city's got to turn back on that to where it's being pushed to 9.
And I will interrupt there and say that's where we've got to get over that issue, because we can't continue to try to blame some others when, if we can't get along, then that's our problem, and we've got to get past that. We've got to put egos aside. This is about improving the lives of the citizens of our county, and we do that by working together. This has got to be a strong partnership with the city, we're
But why do we
counting
only
on
talk-
the city.
Why do we only talk about one city? There's 3 other cities in this county.
Well, all those cities, all of our cities are important.
Well,
But
so
our
we need to
city
stop
of
talking about
Danville,
one of them.
our city of Danville is extremely important because they're one of our major utility providers. They provide this whole county's water and sewer. Those are extremely important aspects of
I said
economic
before.
development.
Did my motion get seconded?
I did second it, yes.
Oh,
actually.
You did second
I
it?
did second it.
Okay.
Thank you.
The motion to, for the county and the city commission to offer the city the opportunity to get together and have a open discussion about a path forward on Economic Development Corporation. Is that a summation?
Or just about economic?
About economics in period.
Just economic
In
development.
general, okay? And that was made by Madge K. Wood and seconded by Madge Cullen. Now we can discuss the motion.
You know, if I was hiring someone, and let's say it was some strange name like Calipari. If I was Calipari, I would bring my coaches. I would do my recruiting. So I think it needs to be somebody who puts together their plan, because they're gonna be graded on their plan, because there is a scoreboard. We haven't had a scoreboard. I'm gonna put my team together. If it was me and I was an economic development person and made my living out of doing that, it would be my team and my vision of how I put it together, and not somebody else telling me, this is the way you're gonna do it.
Well, I
That's where
think-
we are.
I think until we come together as a group, and I'm gonna have to agree with Jason by 90%, we've gotta get along with the city, and I don't think, I think Jamie said it was our fault. I don't think it's our fault. I think we've thrown the olive branch out, and seems like by the time where we think things are going pretty smooth, something will happen, and it feels like, well, they don't want the county involved.
They smack us with the olive branch.
Am I right on that?
Right.
So let's,
And
I love the city as much as the county, but we've got to come together and use common sense instead of saying, I'm gonna take my ball and go home if it don't suit me. We've got to get along and don't have someone throwing a monkey wrench in the pot. That's what I want to see us do.
Well, there's actually many counties in Kentucky that have multiple EDAs, and so it's not authorities, not far-fetched. You know, I think Bardstown and that area has like 3 of them, and it works pretty well, seems to me, over there. So sometimes you just,
Warren County has multiple.
yeah, sometimes you just have to look and see, like, you know what, this ain't working. We can keep bickering and be behind the ball another 5 years, or we can just kind of move forward and solve problems if our voice isn't being heard. So.
I think one thing that really hurts the county, hurt our pride to some, is the letter that was put out some time ago by one of the city commissioners on how dumb you magistrates are. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That didn't go too well.
Nor would anybody think it should.
Well,
So,
it
I mean, that
was
kind of-
poor
I
taste.
really got, I have very
It
little
was-
tolerance
It was written in
for
poor taste, I think.
that kind of stuff. I mean, that what would be, combined interests are always greater than the individual. And,
I don't think that we
So
can,
we're close.
I don't think that we can do this alone. And I don't think the city can do it alone.
Agreed.
To be as effective as we should be.
right.
Well, so I guess I do feel like I think getting together is important. We need to do that. We need to get beyond the 7-9 issue. And as President Roush said, we need to, the next step, and we need to quickly move, because every day that goes by, we're losing ground in economic development. And so we need to get this resolved. And it's on all of us. If it doesn't work, it's our fault. Believe me, we're failing our citizens at this point in time, and we all should be held accountable for that. And so we need to get this resolved, and then we need to move forward and get the right person hire as soon as possible and start moving.
Long before I even contemplated running for office, when I was tired, having been in Frankfurt and Washington 26 years, I was very fortunate to meet Magistrate Gay, and I'll call him a mentor at that time. He encouraged me. I was probably going to go anyway, but he encouraged me probably in the third or fourth year of EDP to start attending EDP board meetings, just as a citizen interested in the community, because my wife and I made a decision more than 30 years ago that if we could find a historic home, we would live here for the rest of our lives, and we were fortunate to do that. I attended those meetings many years, more than probably some of the board members attended those meetings. Magistrate Gay and I would debrief in those lounge chairs in the library. I wish I had all my notes with me today. They're in my basement. But there were many times of great discouragement about the lack of measurements that Magistrate Gay mentioned, about an amazing, having been in 2 corporations, an amazing level of lack of accountability. We are fiduciaries for our citizens' tax dollars, as are the folks on the city commission. That lack of performance was punctuated, and I'm not going to revisit even some of the hallmark losses that we suffered. I'm just going to say that I too have been privileged to sit in on virtually all the EDA meetings. Well, actually I was wearing 3 hats, but I was not on the EDA group to qualify for a vote. As a magistrate, as an EDP board member, and by the way, my mentor, John Kaywood, probably 2 years ago now, refused to accept my resignation from the EDP board over my grave concerns of the lack of performance. And you guys ratified his motion to keep me on board. I didn't see much change over the ensuing couple of years. In fact, in that period of time, and I won't mention the 2 major issues, but we had 2 major lost opportunities and no accountability for it. As fiduciaries of this court, we have a great opportunity, led by Dr. Roush, where it has been 4 times, observing. 4 times a vote has come forward for 7 board members, with the caveat that 9 board members will be revisited at the end of 2 years. Just like all the other measurements and accountabilities that my colleague to my right, Magistrate Gay, has talked about. City, I hope you will watch this tonight, tomorrow, before we get together as 2 groups of elected leaders of this community. There can be no harm of moving forward with 7 now. I feel like if you've ever studied a sycamore, it puts down roots deeper than most trees. We've got a 5-foot stump in the middle of this field, a fertile field, and we are allowing a 5-foot sycamore stump with those deep roots of power structure mentioned by Magistrate Gay 10 minutes ago. We're allowing that stump, in this case the 7 to 9, to stand in the way of action that we all desire, the unity that we all desire for the place that we love and some of us moved into because of our passion for what we knew about this way back, this community, way back in the 1960s. Folks, we've got to move forward with the 7. That's a message to the city that I can't speak, I'll speak only for myself on that. I can't vote for 9, plain and simple. We've had a structure of highly intelligent people, men and women, around that EDA table, trying to move us forward with the 7 with the provision that in 2 years we'd reevaluate that. So please, city commissioners, mayor, let's move forward. I don't even think, I respect the motion, but I don't even think we need that meeting. Because people that we've talked with many, many times, Mayor and I have talked many times about this, if they really fully understand the proceedings over more than a year of the EDA structure, they'll know that this will be the best thing for the community.
Call the question.
All right, question has been called. The motion is to offer a joint meeting of the fiscal court and the Danville City Commission to discuss economic development. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Judge, may I explain my vote? For the
Opposed, like sign. Yes, sir, you may.
For the interest of unity in this community, I will vote aye. And we have a huge opportunity to make that happen. Thank you.
All right, the motion passes unanimously.
And just real quick, I'm going to disagree with you once again on this because there are several of us in this room that have been working very hard, attending EDA meetings and trying to do so. I don't think it's all of our faults. We're trying, but you can only bang your head against the door so many times. But more than anything, I'm very appreciative of
Dr. Roush.
Dr. Roush, President Roush. I used to call him President Roush.
President.
John, fine.
No. For his leadership and for all that he's doing with this. I told my wife the other day, I said, if that's what retirement looks like, I don't want anything to do with it.
You need to put an underscore on that, Jason.
With Susie's a patient lady.
With Dr. Roush's leadership and his kindness for
you don't get it.
taking us on board, there's no way I feel we could fail if we'll just quit bumping heads.
Yeah, you don't get an opportunity to have a gentleman like Dr. Roush here.
I've known Dr. Roush for quite some time, and I've always admired the job that he done, and I have a daughter that feels the same way, Dr. Roush.
Thank you, Phil. You all finished with me?
Yes, sir, Dr. Roush. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yes.
See you tomorrow.
If you're a prayerful person, we could use them for tomorrow.
All right. Mayor requested the opportunity to say a word.
Thanks for the point of privilege, I appreciate it. A couple of points that I think are missing or need clarification. First of all, to Magistrate Cullen's comments, I'm sure you and your spouse at times have tiffs, quarrels, and most times she wins. I think the same thing. Any disagreements we have seem to get highlighted. I think we have far more cooperation than we've ever had before. I think we have far more cooperation than what we have disagreements. With respect to Magistrate Salmon's comments, that was one person's opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I think the aftermath of that opinion is unfortunate, but I would ask it be kept in context that it's one person's opinion, and like to move past that one. Some semantics are needed here. The EDA, the Economic Development Authority, is set. It's 7 people as an EDA. Set that aside, because that's done. That's no longer a topic. The topic is, how does the 7-member EDA meld into some other group of well-intentioned individuals so that it remains as 7 per the 4 votes of the EDA. There's a disconnect there. With respect to my Magistrate Kaywood, the problem I have with getting city and county together is that there's too much backstory to all that we have discussed. There's going to be so many people in this room and at the city commission level as well that don't know all of the deliberations that have led us to where we are today. I would prefer that the issue be addressed by those that are most closely involved, and that being the 7-member EDA and the leadership of what was the EDP. There's where the conversation, in my opinion, needs to occur, because so many people on the city commission do not know of all that we've discussed, do not know how we've come to any conclusions that we have. And again, if you look at the issue, where does it lie? It lies between the 7-member EDA and the leadership of the past economic development partnership. It doesn't lie with the city commission. Their vote, their opinion, I don't see how that matters. It matters as to how the 7 members of the EDA and the leadership of the EDP pull together. That's what matters. This court's opinion doesn't matter. The city commission's opinion doesn't matter. It rests in those 2 entities. I don't know if they can get there, but to me, it's those 2 entities that need to get in a room together and limit public comment and have a face-to-face discussion about disappointments, how that translates into the future, why the EDA 7 feel the way that they feel. And I go back to the genesis of the EDA as it relates to the former Economic Development Partnership. Who's most affected by success of economic development in this community?
Citizens.
Citizens.
No.
Who represents the citizens?
We do.
This board and the city commission. We're the ones that feel it the most. We're the ones that actually incubated the EDA concept because we knew that there's going to be some land development needs. That then morphed into the personnel situation, which was held out as the EDA cannot hold personnel, which has been totally disproven. So that is just a falsehood. So let's get past that. So we're now down to where the EDA is saying, how do we meld the 2 entities into a 7-person group? It's a matter of trust. I'm just going to call it like it is. It's a matter of trust, and it seems to me that the 7 has offered a lot of concessions in the discussion. It seems that all the 7 is asking for is let us get down the road, and in 2 years, let's sit back, dust is settled, trust is repaired, and then we go to 9. I don't see anything wrong with that, but obviously others do.
And that 7 you're talking about is the corporation.
Correct, not the EDA.
EDC.
Not the
Okay,
EDA.
okay, I just wanted to,
That's all.
it gets confusing
That's
when
right.
you start talking about 7s and.
That's why I say let's take the EDA out of it, but it is the EDA that has fostered this
Right,
conversation.
no, I agree with that.
It's the EDA that's fostered the concept of 7, with the hopes of getting to 9 at some point.
I'm good with all of that, I think, and I'm fine with that getting together. I just think we need to all get beyond whatever our sticking point is and get moving. And if it helps getting those 2 groups together is the best way to do it, let's do it. Let's get this behind us and get the ads out there and start hiring somebody and get this process moving. We're losing ground every day.
There's no doubt. That's why I'm trying to go exactly where the argument lies. It lies between those 2 entities.
One of the greatest surprises that I have experienced in a while is when we met over at City Hall several months ago. In fact, it was probably last year after the West Kentucky visit. And that was the first time that the concept of a corporation was presented to the people in the room, which was a combination of court members and city commission members and yourself. I found that surprising because I was one in this room that did attend that West Kentucky trip, and that was a news flash to me that I didn't see while I was down there. I felt at that time that the EDA, joint ordinance and resolution created by both governmental entities, was our path forward until it was supplanted by a clone look-alike in a different construct that actually I don't really understand. It's become a little more clear and acceptable since then. But you know, the EDA has both public and private, okay? The corporation has both public and private constructs. I just go back and say that I was surprised to see what I thought was a elaborate embellishment of the EDA that I didn't see coming in that meeting. And since then, on behalf of some proponents of the private sector, I think, and public sector, that has gained some ground that I'm not sure is extremely beneficial as opposed to EDA, because I have done the research legally, and the EDA, contrary to what some have said, can do everything that the corporation can do.
As we learned from the League of Cities.
Okay? So I just want to make that statement, that this evolution of the corporation, although I don't disagree with it in part, was almost a shot across the bow to a concept that I thought we had already resolved through the EDA.
Agreed.
Likewise. I really like the mayor's thinking here, that about a half a dozen or so people on each side in the room, and this is why I was reluctant to vote your motion, Magistrate Gay would. We know who the principal players are, and the biblical statement of you don't put wine in an old wineskin because it'll fail. I mean, that's a fact of science, and it's a biblical statement that you don't put new wine in an old wineskin. And I agree with Magistrate Kaywood that we need the 7 to forge a new focus, as John Roush said, and see where we are in 2 years. And I do believe we'll have great success within those 2 years working together with the city on behalf of our constituents.
I think what you're missing, what the judge is saying, is we don't even need the corporation. We can do all this with just the EDA, which is kind of where I thought we were heading with this when all this was proposed.
So,
I don't believe you leave players out who have an interest, and that's why I would like to see everybody there, because they need to at least hear the conversation so they are informed and educated. Otherwise, they're left out. I don't think you leave anybody out. You bring everybody to the table, or else they're out there wondering what's people thinking about, and that creates issues. In what Master Cullen just said, I think there's a third plan. There's a third way of doing this, which brings it to a more simple and quicker thing to do. And whoever comes in here has input to how they want the game to be played.
I believe you brought this up at one of the meetings, that once the board sets everything, it's the employees of who's leading that will engage everybody, that will move this forward. And whether we have, I mean, because let's be honest, now we've got a board of 7, and now we're looking at having another board of 7, so we're back to 14 individuals, and a couple of them are recycled, but it's still just too big, large. But if either way, as long as we hire the right people and they are managed properly and they actually have a real team, I've said it a couple times, I don't know if I've said it in here, but I've said it at the EDA meetings, that a lot of blame was put on Jody Lassiter, that it was all Jody Lassiter's fault or whatever. But the reality was, and I think the mayor actually brought this up, is that they were supposed to have about 3.5 employees when they only had 1.5. So if you expect 1.5 people to do the job of 3 or 3.5, you're going to fail. And money was left on the table. We had an extra $30,000 that the county set aside that they never came for, where they could have utilized that to hire somebody or add that to whatever they had and hire somebody. So the people leading this will be the ones that will be our true success. So whether it's 14 or whether it's 7, we just need to hire the right people and move forward.
Well, the motion has been made, and we made the offer, and Dr. Roush has made his presentation. We'll move on. Darlene, what do you have for us?
Judge, would you permit me to introduce myself based on this discussion?
Who are you?
With the court's indulgence and pleasure, yeah, I will. Come on up, Terry, and introduce yourself, please.
We have 5 minutes.
I introduced myself. It won't take that. I absolutely appreciate all of this discussion. And to Magistrate Cawood's point, the reason I'm here and the reason I've been hired is to try to see this transition through. So the structure is being changed, and I think because of the city and county's urging, the old structure was obviously very difficult, not agile, and I think we're making a great effort to restructure to become agile. The other thing I would say is the advent of the EDA is awesome. We've got an old model which relied on land from the Boyle County Industrial Foundation for a very, very long time. That model doesn't work and can't work going forward. The EDA will allow public money now to enhance our ability to actually have that land available, to get it pad ready, to do those things that we all know need to happen. I'm signed on for around 6 months. And at the end of that 6 months, we hope to have put in place a new structure that's more nimble, that's more agile, that includes everyone. The way I put it is I would like to see us all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. And I think that there are a lot of disconnects out there right now that are kind of preventing that from happening.
Just one real quick, you might say who you're hired by and
I'm
your
sorry.
job. I don't think you officially
I
said
thought
that.
everybody knew that. I'm actually
Just for the record.
the interim executive director of the EDP, which is transitioning to be the EDC. And economic development, and just a little background, I was on the city commission for 8 years. I've been on the school board for 5. I've been on just about every city committee that you can serve on over the years. I grew up here, graduated from Danville High School, went to the University of Kentucky. I agreed to do this because I love the community, and John and I have known each other for a long time. We've had plenty of discussions. It's economic development is a long game, and I think I would say this: I'm hopeful that I'm the reset button here. what happened in the past, the other guy, the things that might have gone well, the things that didn't go so well. I hope we can forget about that and come up with a structure that's going to move us forward as a team. And I mean as a team, the Economic Development Corporation with the EDA as a major player in that group, because now we've got multiple avenues for land development, acquisition, retention, all those things mentioned in the ordinance. So right now, the things I'm focused on are trying to see that transition through, get our new bylaws, board structure, and those types of things going. And that's the 7-9 sticking point. I feel pretty strongly we can get through that if the court wants to be a member of the group. Now, if the court doesn't want to be a member of the group, that is a complication, obviously. But I think going forward, we can make a team that's very, very effective. We are looking, and again, not just the fact that economic development's a long game, but essentially that there are multiple moving parts. It's not just about land acquisition and development. It is about job retention. It is about commercial, industrial, all of those things. It's about workforce development. It's about housing. It's a massive problem. And have we been very successful? No. Have we been successful? Sure, we've had job creation. You guys all know that. Okay. Is it perfect? No. But I hesitate to say that it's time to just completely abandon everything and create an authority that, you know, kind of tries to recreate this. Because I think we can fix the things that aren't working without destroying the entire situation. I just feel like we can put together a team, get pointed in the same direction, and make great things happen.
And 7 is not an impediment to
excuse me?
that. 7 is not an impediment to that.
I haven't dived into that. I'm on my 5th day. So I would like you to give me a chance to kind of dive into that. You know, point being that the EDA is a wonderful addition to the efforts. There's no question that it makes public money, gives us access to that kind of funding to get some of these pieces of property in better shape to acquire more property. That's great. The Industrial Foundation is limited in what it can do. Sure, go ahead.
Just, I don't interrupt you if you want to keep going. You can, but so some of my biggest questions are we using the same old playbook that we've used forever? And you know, you start talking about land acquisition, which does cost a lot of money. You start talking about various other things. Do we know who we are and what we can do here? And I say that meaning we are very isolated from many interstates. So is manufacturing and really is that our bread and butter? And that industrial stuff seems to be the only things that we talk about. So is that really our bread and butter, or should we start looking at things where we have strengths and things that we can build out?
Tourism.
Well, not just tourism. We actually do pretty well with tourism and hopefully it's getting better. But I'm talking technology, things that can very easily, you don't have to keep, you know, trying to okay, we're going to build these things and we're going to move them here, but it takes X amount of time to get it to a highway or whatever. Are we looking at other things in our playbook?
I would say, and again, 5 days on the job, that we get to determine that as a team. I think that's the real answer here is that, you know, there's commercial, there's industrial. So everybody would love to have all high-paying industrial jobs with full benefits and all that stuff. That's why it's so competitive out there right now. But so to answer your question, what we're doing is reforming the corporation so we can do that. And that's got to be the point. Your point is well taken. That's got to be a focus. Okay? But the other things we can't lose track of. We still have workforce development, all those things to take care of. So at the end of my tenure, because I'm certainly not going to do that, I'm retired and I kind of liked being retired. Well, I was retired, kind of like it. But hopefully we will have put a new executive director in place, okay, that gets all of that. but the board of directors of the EDC, which we want the fiscal court to be part of, gets to set that tone. In all of the models I've worked in, the board tells the executive director, this is where we want to go. The executive director is responsible for getting you there. If you don't like that, get rid of the executive director.
That's part of our problem in the past.
Gotcha, but I'm hoping to push a reset button. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all have used the word team many times. John, you've used the word restructure. It's ongoing. The EDA, awesome idea. It expands our abilities. Okay. I'd like to keep that reset pushed and let's get together. City, county, yeah, that's an excellent meeting to have. But at the end of the day, we're reforming the EDP into the EDC, and that's where the 7-9 discussion has been. I know we can find basically a combination, a structure that's going to include everybody, and it's basically going to allow the fiscal court, the city, the industrial foundation, and all of the other community partners to be on the team and to be productive on the team.
I look at it a little bit differently than you characterized it twice. I don't see that it's the EDP moving us toward the EDC. I think it's the leadership in the city and the county, elected officials, fiduciaries, who for 14 and a half years haven't seen the performance. I see it, our entities pulling EDP as it has existed and is keeping its foot in the door, and getting them to realize the important role of the city and the county moving together, and them understanding these past 12 to 15 months of discussions by the EDA.
Okay. I got this in hand. Okay, wait a minute. We are not debating EDC and EDA and EDP right now. This is an intro of Terry Crowley to the court.
I want to remind him of his psychiatrist appointment that I made for him for taking time. I'd like to point one thing out, if I could, which he needs to hear probably. When EDP was formed, there wasn't one person who was truly an economic development made his living from it, involved in setting that structure. I think that's what we need to do today or now, to have his input, as you have kind of made the point toward, have his input will help us, because we haven't had that before. I have learned that's a major mistake in my opinion. I'll take credit, I'll take responsibility. I was part of that. That was wrong. The times were different then. I think we truly need an economic development person helping us today put this together, because he's the one or she's the one that lives in it every day. Volunteers have been wonderful, and you achieve so very much. Mary Lynn has said, I've heard her several times, and she's absolutely right. Volunteers don't have the time today to do what they, they spend 1 hour there and then they're gone into their world. This is an every hour, every day, 365-day responsibility. Yet do we not give them help to be part of the structured discussion?
The staffing, again, and I'm done, but let me just say this. The staffing is going to be at the direction of the board to the executive director. So, again, let's push a reset button. Let's see if we can all get on the same team, rowing in the same direction. I know great things can happen, because all of you know what a great community and county this is. There's no question about that. So the way I put it is, you hear people talk about something being a diamond in the rough. We're the crown jewels. We just got to get ourselves in front of the display case, and to do that, we got to stop fighting about it.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
indulgence.
Thank you. Okay, Darlene?
Very quick and simple. I needed to add a new line item. This is basically for tracking purposes.
Make a motion we approve.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve new line item for tracking purposes made by Magistrate Gay and seconded by Magistrate Short. You beat the buzzer, didn't you, Ron?
Did, barely.
Okay. Is there any
I was a little
questions or
short.
comments about the motion?
Oh.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. What else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay, we'll go around the room. District reports. Nothing?
I don't know.
You guys are really wanting.
We're the good group.
You're
We're the good group.
John?
I would remind or ask everybody to read this report that was on Robb Elementary school shooting in Texas, because this is the book for how not to do it. I would suggest you all take your time and read it. It's very well done, very detailed, and I think we can all learn a lot from it. The other thing I was just going to say, the 127 yard sale, a lot of folks here. I don't know if we made an effort to really show off, but we need to keep that in mind going forward. Every time something special that brings people from everywhere, and they were from everywhere, it's our time to show off and tell our story, and you don't get those opportunities very often.
There's a lot of people here, but I don't know that the venue opportunity to present it because they're spread out.
They're spread out. It would be difficult, but it's worthy, in my opinion, of a discussion.
I won't disagree with the discussion. I don't know where the insertion
Well,
point is to do something.
Tourism, I would see their role that they might want to play in research to see what other people do. A lot of, that thing goes from south to
Well, it has
Indiana,
border to border,
Indiana,
border to border,
and Michigan.
Kentucky.
Yeah, it's huge. It
Well,
is huge.
John, doesn't it have a larger impact economically than even the Brass Band Festival?
I think the hotel people would agree with you.
Yes.
They're all booked up. Now, what people move depending upon the weather, they move, so they may eat, no telling where. But it brings a lot of people down. We want them to come. Then we can tell our story. But somebody's got to do it.
So what else you got?
That's it.
Just while you're on that, telling our story, I did reach out and we have touched base with the Bourbon Chase, and we will be engaged on that as we go
I
forward.
think that's an opportunity we didn't have a few years ago.
I think it actually is small. Well, it still comes through here the same way, but I think it's smaller this year than it was. It used to be like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now it's just a Friday, Saturday.
The deaf community is bringing a lot of folks in here.
Yeah.
Another month.
Deaf Fest, we need to zero in on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have been asked to see if we could possibly have an agenda item where we talk about the Great American Brass Band Festival having an office, possibly one of the many spare offices down in Constitution Square. If we could do something where they just need an office, so the new director there would, if we could put somebody down there, that'd be fantastic.
Well, that would be something you want to throw at the interim director of EDP. We need that space in the schoolhouse across from Mimi Becker, an
Would be
office
great.
in there, and where the conference room is.
Yeah, brass band is almost like Derby. You've got to start the day after the Derby, and we need to start immediately for brass band 2023.
I hear the new director's pretty good. But.
That's been 33 years. So, go ahead.
All right, block party. Thank you all very much for contributing to the block party. Huge success. It was fantastic. It actually worked out really well because they had a baseball tournament that same day, and so people from all over the area was here for the baseball tournament, but huge turnout just for the community as well for the block party. So that was a wonderful sponsorship on the part of the Fiscal Court. So thank you all very much. Also, thank you for the groundbreaking of the new fire station. That was a great day, and thank you all. And Phil, I'm sorry you couldn't make it. I know you had pressing matters, but I know you wanted to be there. But thank you all for not only showing up, but also for helping out with the expenditure of that. That's going to be fantastic for that part of Boyle County. As John talked about, we've got Deaf Fest coming on 9/3, so less than a month away. We're talking 8,000 to 10,000 people. So, it's you'll
need to start meeting on that.
Yes. So that's where we probably get together with tourism, and ourselves and, someone from the city and possibly figure out how we make sure that our restaurants and our hotels are ready for this. There's a lot of needs that are required as well. So, and then speaking of other things that are happening, the Soul of 2nd Street Festival is August 26th. Well, I think the education part is on the 26th of August, but the festival itself is on the 27th. So let's make sure we're promoting that and coming out and showing out for that. Last thing I have is this is kind of a personal thing. Julie's not with us because she's out.
New grandchild.
With her new grandchild, and during the meeting we got a notice that they've had to move the grandchild to the ICU.
Oh.
And so please pray for Julie, the grandchild, and her family. There's some
Is this a newborn?
possible
Yes.
breathing issues. Yes,
Newborn.
yesterday, and so please keep Julie and baby Madison and her mom and father in your prayers.
Missy too.
Well,
Yes.
you're praying for your Missy.
Yep, and we have Missy, who's also missing from us.
When,
That-
have they been determined when she'll have her surgery?
It will be
Right-
Thursday.
Right
We
now,
don't-
it's leaning toward Thursday, no time yet determined.
But she's a fighter.
She's a
So
fighter.
but she needs our prayers too. So
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you, I'm sitting on that.
yep. So, and that is all I have.
Thank you. Thank you.
We each received at least one communique, and I believe it's Smart Growth, about the open spot since Steve Hunter left. Interesting. If you have not read that yet, please take careful note to what they're saying, because there's some real concerns that they express that I think we need to explore and see just exactly what's going on. Steve at Griffin. I want to make sure if he didn't get a copy of that letter that he does. We have at least one construction firm, and I know we have engineering firms and others in this community. We always want to stay with our community players. I've gotten an inquiry about the specs on the fire station. Chief Sexton does not have that yet. It will be advertised. Obviously, it has to be advertised on who's going to engineer, who's going to do the construction. And I don't know what the status of that process is. I know that it's been talked about a metal building that will go up very quickly, but we have interested firms right here in Boyle County that want to be part of that bid process. So
It's already been determined.
that's not the message that I got.
Okay.
Okay, so I heard that it's not been bid yet. Thanks to those of you who showed up for the Turtle Derby this past week. It was outstanding. Many of us were invited to dump the turtles into the river. The river cooperated because of the unfortunate circumstance for eastern Kentucky was that it washed out all the debris and everything from the river. Went extremely well. It was a record-setting year, and the preliminary numbers are that they will net around $15,000. Huge crowds. Thanks to the Lions, I ate all their hamburgers. They ran out because of me. But seriously, it was a great event, and we'll be planning for the next one. So, and don't forget, October, both the Forkland Festival, the second Saturday of October, and the first Saturday is the 100th commemoration of 160th commemoration of the Perryville Battle. So, thank you, Judge.
And there's a significant reenactment this year. This
There'll
is
be a
one
large
of the national
turnout
shows.
for that.
Excuse me?
There'll be a large turnout for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Gentlemen, I appreciate this opportunity to have as much discussion as possible. Sometimes we get a little bit, well, I'm not going there. Anyway, I appreciate everybody's driving spirit feel. Yeah. I appreciate everybody's driving commitment to this county, and you guys, that today is an exemplary illustration of that, because we all care about what we're doing and we take it seriously. And that's what this county deserves, is that degree of commitment from each and every one of us. So thank you for that. Remember the flooded folks in eastern Kentucky. Remember that we are, if you can do something to help alleviate that pain and that suffering, they can use your help. I can just put it that way. And I would like now to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to adjourn, made by Magistrate Cohen, second by Magistrate Short. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, gentlemen, thank you, ladies. Stand adjourned.
All right.